ready because we're going to give out some amazing prizes, but only if you're a super fan. Who's a super fan? All right, so we are going to hear from Gunther himself. We're going to hear a little bit about behind the scenes and what it takes to be on a show for 10 seasons. Yes, are you ready to meet him? Okay, so we are going to bring him up. James Michael Tyler, aka Gunther!
You're all shocked.
Yeah, I actually was Gunther. Yeah. Just 15 years later, I have a beard now. Gunther grew up. Hey everybody, thanks so much for being here. Hello. Vegas, baby.
I guess the first question is, when did you stop dyeing your blonde hair?
Oh, well, the blonde hair was not mine to begin with. I had to bleach my hair because that was something that I did the night before the very first episode that I appeared in. On a whim, a friend of mine said he wanted to practice being a stylist, and I volunteered my balding head for that. And I had to keep it for 10 years because they liked the look for the character. So I had to actually do that about every week while we're in production for 10 years.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And how happy are you that you don't have to do that anymore?
Very, very happy. My hair is less happy than I am. Wherever it is.
Oh my God, you brought so much joy to the show. So how did you get cast in the beginning?
Well, again, I started as an extra. So I just went out as a background performer. It was a good opportunity for me to make about an extra $45 a week, working 1 day a week, and I got a free meal, which is very important if you're a struggling actor in Los Angeles with a Master of Fine Arts degree, which meant basically you're going to be a server. So I was an actual barista at a coffee shop called the Bourgeois Pig in Los Angeles. I don't know if anybody from LA out here? Yeah. So you might know the Bourgeois Pig is still around, and it's one of the last independent coffee shops that hasn't turned into something else. And so and another piece of trivia, I kept my job at the Bourgeois Pig for the first 4 seasons of Friends because I did not know when Friends was going to end. So I needed my real job. I kept my real job. So I was smart.
That's
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite coffee to drink? Like what do you make the best? Because I know you didn't really make the coffee on Friends.
That's very true. Now, I'm not much of a coffee drinker myself, I have to say. And that's mainly from being a barista for a lot of years. Anybody else out here?
Is anybody a barista out here?
Or a baker?
Oh, wow. Look at
You know,
this.
when you're around it all the time and you smell coffee all the time, you just don't crave it as much. So that's what happened to me. However, my favorite coffee is just like, probably just like a nice cup of like French roast, something like that, just black coffee, no sugar, no cream. I like the purity there. Yeah.
I love it. Purity and simplicity.
Yeah.
So when did you figure out, you're working at your regular job, but when did you figure out this show is huge?
Okay, that's a really interesting question because, you know, this was pre-internet and pre-social media, so we still had to rely on newspapers and trade magazines to come out with the ratings of the prior week. I do remember that Marta Kaufman, who was one of the creators and executive producers and writers on the show, she showed up on set one morning after a table read and held up a newspaper and said, "Hey guys, we're number 22." And that was a huge deal back in the day because I think it was the first season. Now, I didn't realize that it was going to continue until the summer after the first season when they had reruns, back when it was network TV and there were basically 3 networks. So you didn't have all the streaming options that we do today. And so this was, you know, it was must-see TV on Thursday nights. Well, during the summer, Friends went to number 1. I didn't realize that. So all summer long, I was wondering if I was going to still get that $45 extra a week and that free meal, which I was very dependent on at the time. So I called the second AD, assistant director, Joel, about a week before I thought they might be coming back. I didn't know if they'd been picked up or not. So I gave him a call and I said, "Hey, do you guys need coffee guy?" Which is what they referred to me as, coffee guy. Are you guys going to have
before Gunther was
before
born.
Gunther?
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I was like, "Are you guys going to have coffee guy back again? Sorry, this season? Or are you going to? Or have you been picked up?" And he said, yeah. Actually, we're picked up. We were number 1 in reruns all summer. And we're moving to a bigger stage, and you're going to have much better craft service, which, food.
And that's how you know you made it.
And
Better
that's how I
craft
knew I was
service,
coming
everyone.
down. Yeah.
Whoever's trying to be an actor in Hollywood, when you get good craft service,
Very important.
you've made it.
Very important to get a free meal in Hollywood, for sure.
So what was your first line, and how long did that line recur?
Okay. My first line was actually a word, and the word was yeah. And that was in response to Ross asking Gunther if he had stairs in his place. It was, the Slinky.
Look at you,
So,
trivia
that's
coming.
really good. And that happened about, I think it was like the 30th episode or something like that, 32nd episode, which was midway through the second season. And I didn't know what was happening. The week prior to this episode, I walked in, I was just hanging out on the set backstage doing my extra stuff, and Marta Kaufman, writer, creator, walked up to me and asked me if I had any acting experience. And that was one of the first times she actually had a conversation with me about anything other than like, hey, what do you put on your bagel or something like that. And I said, yes, I have a Master of Fine Arts. And she said, that's good to know, and walked away. So the next week I walked up and she said, hey, your name is Gunther, and you have a line in today's episode. And I was like, yeah, cha-ching. I got like $200 this week. And your line is yeah. And I thought that was it. I thought they were just throwing me a bone, which maybe is what they were doing at the time. Just like, hey, he's very, he's here on time. He doesn't cause any troubles. He's a coffee guy. He's responsible. So I thought that was just kind of like, here's a little give the dog a bone sort of moment. And then they just, Gunther took off from then. And it happened organically, honestly. I don't think anything was forced.
That's amazing.
Let's
hear does anybody want to hear him say the line?
Oh, the word?
Yeah.
I can say the word. Okay. I was so nervous when I said this too, honestly, because I had been a background performer for a year and a half and in many other shows prior to this. So as a background performer, you're not supposed to make any noise whatsoever. You're supposed to mic. Just like the mic went off like that. But so you're not supposed to, make any noise on the set.